B team for life.
He saw a reel about China shooting down American aircraft with a laser. So Ryan, first off, I don't know if I apologize the next thing because I should have front loaded the fact that it was a conspiracy theory and put on our tinfoil hats. I did label that strictly China shoots down American aircraft. So I took full blame for that. That's my bad. But you reached out and you wanted to offer some insight on that whole thing.
Yeah,
this is great.
Fan of mine, because I have people all the time. They'll ping me on Instagram or they'll send me an email or Twitter, and they'll say like, "Hey, can you look into this?" Yeah, and that particular guest had claimed that a laser went and shot down 2 American aircraft. Now, a couple of weeks ago, an F-18 and a helicopter crashed. I think it was in the South China Sea, but in the Pacific theater. And the guest had said, like, oh, it was a laser that could have shot down there. There's no way it could have been a fuel thing. And the first thing I thought of was, somebody needs to understand the inverse square law. And I guess this is kind of what makes me a fairly good intelligence analyst, because it's one of those things that, like, I know all of this stuff. Like I was talking about a video. Someone had. I was talking about the M7 rifle, which I made a YouTube video about the Army's new M7 rifle, and YouTube actually demonetized it for talking about firearms.
Gotta love that.
Conspiracy.
I should have checked that little box, but I thought, I'm not talking about firearms. I'm talking about the theory of what a designated marksman uses, or what a rifleman should be, right? And I guess I talked about firearms a little too much. But in that particular video, I mentioned a movie called Alien Nation, where a guy essentially ran out of cover. In the beginning of Alien Nation, these guys were trying to turn over a liquor store, rob a liquor store, and these 2 cops were fighting back. One guy had a street sweeper, and the slugs were going right through a car that a cop was using as cover until the cop ran out of car. And I kind of likened that to the M7, how with the M7, we're going to be able to penetrate barrier material and then eventually vests. The fact that I can remember a scene from a movie 30 years ago, it has really served me well. But essentially, inverse square law, lasers, they maybe have a max range when it comes to destructive power of about 3 kilometers. It depends on the power of the laser, but you also get into atmospheric diffusion and such. But anytime you shoot light at something, the power of that radiation, and light is radiation, the power of that goes down as you double the distance, the power goes down by the inverse of the square. So if you have your hand by a candle, right by a candle, you can burn your hand. But if you're at the other side of a football stadium, you're probably not going to burn your hand on that candle, right? And so as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, nope. You look at something like the M-SHORAD or the Navy Helios, the Helios laser on I think it's 60 kilowatts. The Army's M-SHORAD.
You're talking about the one that's on the Burke? You're talking about the one that's on that Arleigh Burke?
I think, they put one on the Ponce. I don't know if one is on the Burke quite yet, but maybe. I mean,
no, I meant the class, not the actual.
Oh, the Arleigh Burke. Yeah. I mean, they might have one on an Arleigh Burke class destroyer. I don't know if that's the case yet.
Ryan, here's this, first of all, this, Tyler took, he took his hits. Let me take mine. Normally what I have a pretty significant difficulty here. I'm surrounded by, bros that I've been around. I was in the infantry for 10 years. I was used to being the guy that, like, everybody would go to, be like, Jimmy, what's going on with this? And then people's eyes start glazing over. So you've got to, like, condense everything down. And so I don't get the opportunity to normally go into the nuance of things, and because things just happen fluidly on the show.
That's the bad thing about podcasts sometimes, right? Because you're expected to answer a question like that. And I've had people say, "Oh, technically that was an SM3, not an SM6. You know what I'm talking about." I'm like,
and so, like, what normally, like, everybody here, we enjoy arguing conspiracy theories. We love it. And so, like, if I'm doing my deep dive, because normally I spend about 2 to 4 hours a day, depending on the news cycle, trying to go through, okay, what happened, what's the depth of it, and what's going to be most important. And while I'm in the process of doing that, you're reading comments and you're going on Reddit and you're like, Oh, here's a funny, interesting conspiracy theory, and we've been doing that since the beginning. And if I wasn't clear about it, that's exactly what we were saying. Now, I've been watching you for a while. You're one of the sources that I have. So I go to your channel and go, okay, here's what the deal is. But when I have all of that coming in, things are just moving way too fast for me sometimes to just kind of like keep it contained. And, you know, I really want to be able to give people good information, but I also want to be able to talk about stuff and go, hey, people are saying it was shot down with a laser. And you never get the opportunity to go, okay, guys, that probably didn't happen. But then, I mean, I got people in my DMs that are telling me like I was a fueler for, you know, in the Navy for 20 years. And unless the fuel guys didn't do the right thing, it wasn't a fuel problem. So you had like all of the fun stuff to talk about a conspiracy theory, and we just didn't edit it the right way. Now, I also know that like one of the big things that you hate is the fucking PLA. And for people that don't know, that's the People's Liberation Army. I know you hate the PLA. I fucking hate the PLA too. I was in the 25th Infantry Division. They're my arch nemesis. So I was like, when Tyler told me you contacted him, I was like, I will bet you money. He's like, fuck the PLA. They did not do that. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Well, they would have had to have gotten within 3 miles of a carrier.
Right.
And nothing getting within 3 miles of a carrier.
Yeah,
like absolutely nothing. Like I've been on a carrier before. If you were, well, you were 25th, but you know, if anyone's a Marine, like you got a whole basketball team surrounding that carrier, right? A basketball team of Arleigh Burke class destroyers, and usually there's a submarine moving with them as
probably a guided missile cruiser.
Yeah, well, the ones we have left, right? Because we're getting rid of the Tychos. But like, not like this one dude reached out to me. He's like, "You got to correct this. Do a video on it." I'm like, "I'll do you one better," right? Like I said, you gotta. There's people who are genuinely like malicious conspiracy theorists, and there's like, all right, someone made a mistake kind of thing, and sometimes people make mistakes, and that's understandable,
right?
You know, but you know, while you got me on here, like I don't have my flight until I'm actually in San Francisco right now. And I got to tell you, I have never seen this much poop in my life. I am genuinely impressed by the amount of feces on the street here.
Holy
last time I was in San Francisco, it was fine. And
what are you doing out in San Francisco?
Yeah, once in a while I have these podcast runs. And so I'm going from like I was in LA the other day, and now I'm in San Francisco, and tonight I got to fly to Las Vegas, and then I'm also a novelist, and I got to go see my my agent in not my agent, my proofreader in Seattle. So I was here, and I went to a basketball game. I went to see the Clippers, and then I went to see the oh my God, the Golden State Warriors last night, and not last night, 2 nights ago. So yeah, it's not a bad trip, especially if someone else is paying for it, right? You get to go see a basketball game and go on a podcast and get the word out there. But I'm here right now. If you guys want to talk strategy,
there is something I wanted to ask you about, because you did a video recently about Venezuela and what's going on in Venezuela. And we've been covering that pretty heavily. In fact, I think we're one of the few places that are actually like, hey, here's an update on what's going on in Southcom. So your point of view, and correct me if I'm wrong, your point of view is that the Venezuela thing is I don't want to call it a boondoggle, but it's sort of a waste of ordnance. I think that's what you said. It's a waste of ordnance, a waste of combat power, and it's a waste of military RAM space, when we should be focusing on what Xi Jinping said. We're going to go to war with them in 2028, and we need to save that ordnance and that combat power for that potential threat. My question is this. I mean, wouldn't it be advantageous for us to shore up the Western Hemisphere?
So you would think that, right? Now, what we might be able to do is we might drop a couple of bombs on Venezuela and just let Maduro know, like, you know what? Go find some country in Africa to flee to with your millions, and allow I forget the woman's name, the woman who won the who actually won the election.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
You know, let her in. One of the issues with actually invading Venezuela is that we're going to use a lot of combat power to just kind of sit there. And when you think about it, like in some ways, we already have our southern hemisphere covered. I mean, Venezuela is really no worse than Cuba, and Cuba's right off our border, right? And Cuba really hasn't done any stupid stuff since the Cuban Missile Crisis in what, 1963, I think. Yeah. 63 or 64. They say that's when people go, no, it was in 65. You know, like trying to remember this stuff. I think it was in 63.
Yeah.
So you know, one argument I put a squash on this was, Russia's gonna put Oreshnik missiles in Venezuela. Like, I don't think Russia has the capacity to manufacture that many Oreshnik missiles. And even if they do, then they're going to have to build the launch sites there. They're going to have to pay all the bribes to people to get the sites built. There's probably going to be construction problems because God knows you pay a contractor to build this thing, and the contractor's used to dealing with the Maduro government. So, hey, I want a bribe for this. I want a bribe for that. And then you have shoddy construction. The missiles don't fit correctly. And then it would be a bigger, and anyway, Russia doesn't need to put Oreshnik missiles inside of Cuba because they have intercontinental ballistic missiles that can hit us in 30 minutes and submarine-launched ballistic missiles in the Kara Sea. No point, right? Like it's a lot. I mean,
they're still trying to figure out how to conduct their invasion without doing PMCS.
They're watching Russia during the war in Ukraine. It has been fascinating because when I was back in the 90s, one of the jobs I had was I was OPFOR at in Germany at Hoensfeld CMTC. Mm-hmm. And you know, we would fight against NATO. And we would probe. Oh, there's the gap, and then just run an entire freaking wall of simulated Soviet steel through that gap. And I remember thinking, like, Jesus Christ, if we ever actually fight Russia, we're in a lot of freaking trouble. And looking at it today, I realized, like, the reason we were able to so overwhelm NATO is that, number one, we knew the territory. I mean, any OPFOR, whether it's the 11th ACR in Fort Irwin, NTC, or NTC, or JRTC. These guys, they know the terrain, but also we have modern NCOs. We have professional NCOs, backbone of the Army. Russia really doesn't have that level of professional NCO. And so one of Russia's big problems is that when the officer gets killed, nobody really knows what to do.
Right.
And that was a huge issue. Someone was about to say something. Yeah.
I hate it, dude. I would talk to you all day. Unfortunately, we'll talk again. Let me just ask. Like, did we address the problem? I mean, did we?
Yeah, you guys are great.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't have even known about it unless I had one of my guys like message me like, you need to talk.
Hey, I say this all the time. The clip served its purpose. Awareness. I treat them like movie trailers, or I definitely don't try to put out wrong information. That is 100% what I don't do. But if I'm wrong, the only benefit is that it reaches someone like you who can come on and correct the record. So where can everybody find you? I mean, your YouTube's huge. It's massive. When you flexed on me, I was like, no way. And I was like, oh man, it is huge.
Well, type in Ryan McBeth into YouTube. You can find me there. RyanMcBeth.substack.com is where I put all the footage that I can't show on YouTube, like Hamas like schwacking people and so on. And you can also grab my book, The Wind Machine, at Amazon. And I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you so much. Says a lot about you that you'd accept a correction.
Hopefully it's not as bad as they said it was. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
It will be a lot harder on the CCP and the PLA from now on. So a lot harder.
Thank you guys for having me.
Take care.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad we were able to get somebody that knew that stuff.
I had a feeling that, when he reached out, like I was like, I know what the problem is here. I can fix this. and it's always better to have an ally, even somebody like him.
Well, he's a professional.
Oh, he is a
He's not
professional.
just a fucking clickbait YouTuber that wants to say we're wrong and clip us and
no.
we have enough of those. He's
Yeah,
actually a journalistic analyst.
He goes on Newsmax all the time. I mean, there's a lot of people that listen to what he has to say. Now, I mean, if we had 3 hours, me and him could have sat there.
I know. I was starting. My eyes were starting to glaze over.
I know, because again, and that's what I was trying to say is that like I can't do what he does here.
Yeah,
we have a completely different audience and a completely different group of people. And
well, everybody's waiting for when Jimmy's going to start a show. We just don't know when Jimmy's going to start a show.
Dude, Jimmy's going to start a show fucking rapidly. Everything's there. It's just a matter of
call it glazed over.
Yeah. Well.